So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about the iPhone 15 Pro after 90 days of usage. You can see the one I have here is the titanium blue colorway, and this one right here has been probably not my favorite overall color. It kind of looks like the Pacific blue of the iPhone 12 Pro, but it's a pretty nice overall phone, and it definitely has a much smoother feel than before. The first thing I want to discuss with you is the price and the value of this. Like, is it worth the price? Is it a good value for the money? It does come in at the same price point as the previous Pros, so that's going to be the topic here. The value of it to me really depends on which iPhone you're coming from. So if you're coming from an older iPhone 12 Pro, or arguably even a 14 Pro, not a 14 Pro, a 13 Pro, you're probably getting a pretty good deal here because it does have enough refinements and things like that that you don't really got to worry too much. Now, in the area of the body and the build, durability, and those aspects, we are looking at something that feels to me quite durable, but not as durable as the 14 Pro. As a matter of fact, I'm kind of nervous making this video right now because you could see my shoes right there, but the floor underneath, if I drop this phone, it would make me a little bit nervous, but this is tile. This is not concrete. But if we were on concrete, I would be a little concerned. So this phone I definitely think deserves a nice case for the protection of the back, but it's smooth. The edges of this phone have been ultra smooth here. So if you are looking for really smooth edges when you are holding this phone, I do think you're gonna love it. I really do. Also up at the top, you'll see that the edges here, they do need to be cleaned a little bit sometimes, but it's very, very minimal compared to the smudge fest that was the iPhone 14 Pro. But 90 days later, I really haven't been too disappointed with the overall build. It's a very premium, nice feel, and the most thing I have to say is the comfort factor. It just feels so nice to hold the 15 Pro, even better than the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and arguably even the Plus 15 because the 15 Plus because it's got the smaller size. But if you're looking for that bigger 6.3-inch display, you're gonna have to wait because they stuck with another 6.1. But at least they reduced the bezels, and it is something that I definitely keep noticing every time I come back to this phone. Is just it's a really nice reduced bezel, and it just feels like the iPhone is getting closer to the dream of all screen, but not quite there just yet. Now, USB-C has been incredibly useful on here, and the action button has been nice, but for me, it hasn't been anything more than a ringer and a silent switch for this phone. I have used the camera one on my 15 Pro Max, but the action button to me is something that, you gotta use it, and if you're not really using it all that much, you'll probably forget about it quite quick. So definitely try to take advantage of this if you buy this phone, just simply because it is a value add to this device, but it definitely was something I didn't really use all that much. I think it's just habit, you get used to the older silent switch, but after a while, it can come in handy. Do keep in mind though, if you do change this one, that you now have to readjust your habits to go over here to silence the phone. So that is just something I did note about using this product. From a display perspective, this has been an incredible panel, incredibly bright, and also has the ability to get incredibly dim. And if you do enable the accessibility toggle here, and you put on reduce white point, it gets even dimmer. So nice dimming variability there. In addition to that, the brightness is just pretty darn bright. That's quite good. Now the dynamic island over my past few months has definitely been bittersweet. I do like the features, and they're getting more polished now with app developers bringing new features to that dynamic island. But the overall display itself, definitely still, it can be a little distracting if you are having a full screen operations on here. So something full screen, it can still kind of, you look at the top, it could still get in the way a little bit. So it can be distracting when certain apps that you're reading text do cross through that area. But other than that, I do really like how they really reduced the bezels here on the edges, especially when viewing content. It feels like you're holding, a full screen nearly in your hand. So when Apple does decide to go to a full screen, all screen, it definitely is not going to feel as big as it would have felt before because we're already getting very close to that. So This is an excellent overall panel and super smooth with the ProMotion. Overall, it's just been fantastic, but it is a little bit small these days, so I do wish they go to the 6.3 or 6.4 inch for the base Pro next. It may be like a 6.9 on a bigger iPhone in the future. When it comes to the software, we are looking at iOS 17.1.2, and I gotta tell you, Apple really fixed that heating problem, because over my past few months, few dot releases have really fixed the issue. It doesn't really get all too warm, and we have tons of years of updates to come here for the 15 Pro. Only issue I have with the software with this one is that they didn't include, well, it's not really software, it's more camera. They didn't include the zoom. So when you do go into the camera software, you'll see you can't go 5 times or even 25 times. You can only go about a 15 times zoom, which is the same as the 14 Pro. So I wish they would add it a little bit more. Although, other than that, the overall camera quality is not going to change all too much, besides the fact that you're going to get a 35mm, 24, 28, so you can change those. Other than that, it's the same software you'll find on other iPhones along the lineup, but it has gotten better over the past few dot releases. When it comes to performance, I gotta say, it's iPhone. You expect great performance, and that's what you receive. But what you really notice about this versus other iPhones is with the reduced bezels, with the smooth 120 Hz panel, and with just the level of polish iOS has, it just feels like the silkiest, most polished premium 6.1 inch phone on the market. It's just so consistent in everything that it does. Now, the 14 Pro is very close to this, almost the same, but this has a little bit of a boost when you are going to be playing something that really requires a little bit more. So like Resident Evil, for example, this game right here, and this is not a sponsored, although if you want to sponsor a video, let us know. Maybe we'll throw it in a speed test. But this game right here is only available on phones like this. So it'll even say down here, you have to have a 15 Pro somewhere. But definitely console quality games, and the A17 Pro chip definitely is just going to give you a little bit more for the longevity, video editing, a little bit more premiere performance. So it's really good in that, but the consistency across iOS has been great since these past few updates. So definitely it just feels like basically a flawless performing phone day in and day out. So, and with the ProMotion, it really takes it up to a level that feels very polished. So love that about the 15 Pro. Okay, so when it comes to the battery life with this phone, it's been a nice improvement over the iPhone 14 Pro. The only issue though is that the battery life on this is still not 15 Plus or 15 Pro Max good. So if you are looking for much better juice to get you through your day, I do recommend you go to something like the iPhone 15 Plus or the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Other than that, this definitely improves on the 14 Pro, and while not quite as good in my experience as the iPhone 13 Pro, it's still pretty good. It gets through a full day. Also, do keep in mind when you are using the iPhone 15 Pro because of the ProMotion, if you do turn on the low power mode, it turns it into an iPhone 15 basically with a 60 Hz panel. Not that that's a problem, but keep that in mind. You will be having 60 Hz if you go low power mode. That's the only thing, but I'm pretty impressed. It does the job. It gets through the full day. It's solid. So the cameras. So you're basically looking at a triple 48 megapixel plus 12 megapixel plus 12 megapixel camera setup. But the thing is that when you go to the camera, again, you now have the 28mm 35-24. But you also have, Smart HDR5 on here. Action video remains. It doesn't zoom as far as the iPhone 15 Pro Max, but the images after the fact are a little bit sharper and they're pretty darn solid. I think you'll be very happy with this camera. Regular users don't need this much power. You really don't. If you're not taking advantage of it, you're just wasting money on this phone. But you'll see right here, 24 megapixel it can shoot in. That's an upgrade over the 14 Pro. In addition, you do have spatial video for Apple's Vision Pro coming, Apple ProRes. So it's a lot, man. It's a lot you can do with this phone. And you gotta add the fact too, that you can take this and use applications from the App Store that will just take it to the next level as well with the many camera apps that are available. So this is a true pro camera. The only issue with it is that it definitely needs a little bit more zoom like the Max. I don't know why they cheaped me out with the zoom there. Phone call quality and connectivity are pretty darn strong. 5G performance was good. I don't have my eSIM on this one at the moment, but it's been very good. Even in harder to reach positions before, it's been solid. But I will say that, this doesn't have the absolute latest Wi-Fi standards you'll find on some Android phones, and the charging is not as fast. And that aspect is some of the fastest Android phones on the market. But overall, it has all the fastest things you'll need mostly going into 2024. So wrapping it up here, the iPhone 15 Pro 90 days later review, this thing has been darn good. A polished, consistent, smooth, just nice, premium, almost perfect iPhone. Needs a little bit more zoom, could use a little bit more size, I would say 6.3 inches maybe, but that's a nitpick. At the end of the day, you can't go wrong. It's been good, so good actually, in fact, it's a little bit boring. So that's gonna wrap it up here for me. I hope you have a happy New Year's, and I will catch you all next year on our first video of 2024. Thank you for rocking out with me in 2023. Have a great day. I'll catch you on the next one. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.